knew that he hated it, that ship. Matter of fact, when he was home, I really think he wanted to go AWOL, but I also knew he didn't want to get in any trouble. And now that I think about it, I wish I'd never taken him to the airport. Don't ask, don't tell. The U.S. military policy that prohibits anyone who demonstrates the propensity or intent to engage in homosexual acts from serving in the armed forces. This has become a prominent topic in the debate for civil rights. Some say that it is a blatant disregard for the basic right to freedom of expression, while others say that it's about the supremacy and security of the military. But this isn't an LD debate. The fact is, this policy affects real people, like Officer Alan Schindler of the U.S. Navy. Hello, my name is Michael Savageau, and this is Another American Asking and Telling by Mark Wolf. The night before Alan was killed, he called me to tell me that his papers would be in any day now, and that he'd be home before Christmas for good. And then the next day, the Navy was at my door telling me that he was dead. Matter of fact, I had on one of those long bathrobes, you know? I mean, it was only about 7:15, and I didn't expect anyone to come over, so after I ate, I just went upstairs and took my clothes off and put it on and was watching TV when they came to the door. And anyone with anybody in the military knows that if two guys come to your door dressed in blue, something's gone wrong. And they said that Alan had been assaulted in a park in Japan and that he was dead. I sat there for about 45 minutes before I realized I was practically naked. I was hysterical that night. You know, at first I didn't know how he died, you know, whether it was shot or stabbed. At first I didn't even know it was Americans who killed him. They were shipmates together, on the same ship. The Navy wouldn't tell me. Every time I asked, they'd say, "We're looking into it." The Navy wouldn't tell me. They would never admit that Alan was killed because he was gay. They didn't know why he was killed, only that Terry Helvey was drunk, and Terry Helvey gave her a different statement. And every time the wind blew, Terry Helvey gave her different statements. They didn't know what to believe. Charles Vince just kept his mouth shut. He said he'd only tell them what happened if they made a deal with him and wouldn't charge him with murder. So after they, made the deal, he told them what really happened. And it wasn't until after the deal was made that he said that he kicked Alan 3 times, that he was an accomplice. He served 72 days. I don't understand how someone could just watch something like that happen, even if he didn't do anything. How someone could just watch what happened to Alan and be charged with failure to report a crime. I mean, Charlie Fintz's footprint was embedded in my Alan's face! The entire time I waited for his body to return, I thought I'd be able to hold him and kiss him goodbye. And then they told me that his body was so destroyed that there was nothing they could do to make him presentable. His mother told me that she had seen his body and that I should really never open the coffin. But there was nothing that was going to stop me from going in there and seeing him. And I went in there and I couldn't hold that body. It looked nothing like him. It was nothing like my Alan. And then they closed it, and I sat through the entire service wondering, well, how do I know it was him, I mean, sure, his uniform's there with his hat, and there's his name on the pin, but how do I know it was him? And I just kept thinking over and over again, well, I'm going to have to go in there and check one more time just to be sure. But I really don't think I can do it. So finally, I just got up and left. And I went out into the hallway, and his sister Kathy was there. It was kind of funny, because she was thinking the same thing. So we decided that after the service was over, we were going to go in there and see if his tattoos were there. He had 2 tattoos, one on each arm. On one was a shark, and on the other, the emblem of the USS Midway, the ship that he loved. I was so mad when he got that tattoo, deforming his beautiful body and whatnot, but to this day, if it wasn't for those tattoos, I would never be sure if it was him. If someone could show me in the Bible where Jesus says, and I don't mean Paul or anybody, but where Jesus says that people aren't to have anything to do with homosexuals and we're to be condemned because we're worthless. And I mean, that's just the way a lot of these ministers make it seem. I mean, there's people like Jerry Falwell. I mean, it just preaches so much hatred. Well, I know Alan's in heaven, no matter what those evangelical Christians think. I know Alan's in heaven. Do you want to know something funny? Okay, I have this nephew who's 7, so he was about 2.5 or 3 when Alan died, so he doesn't really remember him that much. Well, I mean, he remembers him some for being on the TV and everything, but he says that every time he lets a balloon go and it flies up into the sky, that Alan catches it for him up in heaven. So a couple weeks ago was his birthday, and we got some helium balloons to celebrate, and there were 2 purple ones because Alan's favorite color was purple. So when James was acting up, I said, well, James, why don't we get the balloons and go out there and let him go so Alan can catch them for us? So we took the balloons and we went outside, and it was real windy, so when we let them go, they flew way up high. And the moment we couldn't see them anymore, this huge storm came. And it only lasted for just a minute, and then it was gone. Anybody would think I'm crazy, but it was as if Alan was saying, I caught it for you. Thank you.